Let's start by understanding what a policy is. Policies are guiding principles or rules created by organizations, governments, or institutions to steer decisions and achieve rational outcomes. They serve as the foundation for consistent action and help address specific issues or goals. Policies can cover a wide range of topics, from workplace behavior to environmental protection. Before a policy can influence society at large, it must go through several steps to become a formal regulation. In this video, we'll explore how a simple policy idea transforms into a binding regulation that everyone must follow. Let's dive into the journey from policy to regulation. The process begins with policy creation. This stage involves identifying a problem or need that requires attention. Policymakers, such as government officials or organizational leaders, gather information, consult experts, and consider public opinion. They draft a policy that outlines objectives, scope, and the intended impact. This draft is often reviewed internally and may go through several revisions. The goal is to create a clear, actionable policy that addresses the issue effectively. Once the draft is ready, it's time to move to the next phase: policy approval. After drafting, the policy must be approved by the relevant authority. This could be a government body, a board of directors, or another decision-making group. The approval process may involve debates, amendments, and voting. Stakeholders might raise concerns or suggest changes to ensure the policy is practical and fair. Approval is a crucial step, as it gives the policy official status within the organization or government. Only after approval can the policy move forward toward becoming a regulation. Once approved, many policies undergo a public consultation phase. This step invites feedback from citizens, stakeholders, or affected parties. Public consultation ensures transparency and allows for diverse perspectives to be considered. Comments and suggestions collected during this phase can lead to further revisions of the policy. This process helps build trust and legitimacy, making it more likely that the final regulation will be accepted and effective. With feedback in hand, policymakers begin drafting the actual regulations. Regulations are detailed rules that specify how the policy will be implemented and enforced. This stage involves translating broad policy goals into specific, actionable requirements. Legal experts and technical specialists often contribute to ensure clarity and compliance with existing laws. The draft regulations are then prepared for further review and possible modification. Before regulations can be finalized, they undergo a thorough legal review. Legal experts examine the draft to ensure it aligns with existing laws and does not conflict with constitutional rights or other regulations. This review helps prevent legal challenges and ensures the regulation can withstand scrutiny in courts if necessary. Any issues identified during this stage are addressed before moving forward. A regulatory impact assessment is often conducted to evaluate the potential effects of the proposed regulation. This assessment considers economic, social, and environmental impacts. Policymakers analyze costs, benefits, and possible unintended consequences. The goal is to ensure the regulation achieves its objectives without causing unnecessary harm or burden. The findings may lead to further adjustments before the regulation is finalized. After all reviews and assessments, the regulation is finalized. This involves incorporating any last changes and ensuring all legal and practical requirements are met. The finalized regulation is then prepared for official adoption. This step marks the transition from a draft to a binding rule that will soon be enforced. Finalization is a critical milestone in the policy to regulation process. The finalized regulation is formally adopted by the relevant authority. This could involve signing by a government official, a vote by a legislative body, or another official act. Adoption gives the regulation legal force, making it mandatory for those it covers. The date of adoption is often published, along with the text of the regulation, so everyone knows when it takes effect. Once adopted, the new regulation is published and notifications are sent to those affected. Publication may occur in official government gazettes, websites, or through direct communication to stakeholders. Notification ensures everyone is aware of the new rules and when they will be enforced. Transparency at this stage helps with compliance and reduces confusion. With the regulation published, authorities develop an implementation plan. This plan outlines how the regulation will be put into practice, including timelines, responsibilities, and resources needed. Training sessions, informational materials, and support systems may be established to help those affected understand and comply with the new rules. Effective planning is key to smooth implementation. Enforcement mechanisms are established to ensure compliance with the new regulation. This may include inspections, audits, penalties for non-compliance, and regular reporting requirements. Enforcement ensures that the regulation achieves its intended effect and that everyone follows the rules. Clear enforcement procedures also provide guidance on what happens if the regulation is violated. Authorities monitor compliance with the regulation through various means. This could involve regular inspections, audits, or self-reporting by those affected. Monitoring helps identify issues early and ensures that the regulation is being followed as intended. If problems are found, corrective actions can be taken to address them promptly. After implementation, the regulation is periodically evaluated and reviewed. Authorities assess whether the regulation is achieving its goals and if any adjustments are needed. Feedback from stakeholders and data collected during monitoring inform this process. Regular evaluation ensures that regulations remain effective and relevant over time. If the evaluation reveals issues or changing circumstances, the regulation may be amended. The amendment process often mirrors the original policy to regulation steps, including drafting, consultation, review, and approval. Amendments ensure that regulations stay up to date and continue to serve their intended purpose effectively. Sometimes, regulations are no longer needed or become outdated. In such cases, a repeal process is initiated. This involves reviewing the regulation, consulting stakeholders, and formally removing it from the legal framework. Repeal ensures that only relevant and necessary regulations remain in force, reducing unnecessary burden. Stakeholders play a vital role throughout the policy to regulation process. They provide input during consultations, help identify potential issues, and offer feedback during implementation and review. Engaging stakeholders ensures that regulations are practical, fair, and widely accepted. Their involvement strengthens the legitimacy and effectiveness of the regulatory process. Transparency is essential for building trust in the regulatory process. Open communication, public consultations, and clear publication of regulations help ensure that everyone understands the rules and how they were developed. Transparency also allows for accountability, as the public can see how decisions were made and who was involved. Accountability mechanisms ensure that those responsible for creating and enforcing regulations are answerable for their actions. This includes oversight by independent bodies, reporting requirements, and opportunities for appeal or redress. Accountability helps maintain integrity and public confidence in the regulatory system. In today's globalized world, international agreements and standards often influence domestic regulations. Policymakers may align national regulations with international best practices or treaty obligations. This helps facilitate trade, protect the environment, and ensure consistency across borders. Technology plays an increasing role in the policy to regulation process. Digital tools can streamline drafting, consultation, and monitoring. Online platforms make it easier to gather public input and share information. Technology also supports enforcement through data analysis and automated reporting systems. The journey from policy to regulation is not without challenges. Conflicting interests, limited resources, and rapidly changing circumstances can complicate the process. Policymakers must balance competing priorities and adapt to new information. Overcoming these challenges requires flexibility, collaboration, and ongoing evaluation. Let's look at a real-world example. Environmental policy. Governments may create policies to reduce pollution or protect natural resources. These policies are developed with input from scientists, industry, and the public. After approval and consultation, detailed regulations are drafted to set emission limits, reporting requirements, and enforcement mechanisms. This case illustrates how a broad policy goal becomes a specific, enforceable regulation. Another example is workplace safety. Organizations may adopt policies to protect employees from hazards. After internal approval and consultation with workers, regulations are drafted to specify safety standards, training requirements, and inspection procedures. Enforcement ensures that workplaces remain safe and that employers meet their obligations. Public opinion can significantly influence the policy to regulation process. Policymakers often seek input from citizens to ensure that regulations reflect societal values and priorities. Public support can help regulations gain legitimacy and improve compliance rates. Engaging the public also helps identify potential issues early in the process. Effective communication is essential throughout the policy to regulation process. Clear messaging helps stakeholders understand the purpose and requirements of new regulations. Communication strategies may include public meetings, informational materials, and online resources. Good communication reduces confusion and supports successful implementation. Feedback loops are built into the regulatory process to allow for continuous improvement. Stakeholders can report issues, suggest changes, or highlight unintended consequences. Authorities use this feedback to make necessary adjustments, ensuring that regulations remain effective and relevant over time. Experts play a crucial role in shaping regulations. Their knowledge and experience help ensure that regulations are scientifically sound, technically feasible, and legally robust. Experts may be consulted during drafting, review, and evaluation stages. Their input increases the quality and effectiveness of regulations. Balancing different interests is a key challenge in regulation. Policymakers must consider the needs of businesses, consumers, the environment, and other stakeholders. Achieving a fair balance requires negotiation, compromise, and sometimes creative solutions. The goal is to create regulations that serve the common good while minimizing negative impacts. Regulations operate within broader legal frameworks. These frameworks define the authority of policymakers, the procedures for creating regulations, and the rights of those affected. Understanding the legal context is essential for drafting effective and enforceable regulations. There are different types of regulations, including administrative, economic, and social regulations. Administrative regulations govern the operation of government agencies. Economic regulations control market activities, while social regulations address issues like health, safety, and the environment. Understanding these types helps clarify the scope and purpose of different regulations. Good regulations are clear, consistent, proportionate, and targeted. They should be based on evidence, minimize unnecessary burdens, and be easy to understand. Following these principles helps ensure that regulations achieve their objectives effectively and fairly. Consultation methods vary depending on the context. They may include public hearings, written submissions, surveys, or focus groups. The choice of method depends on the complexity of the issue and the stakeholders involved. Effective consultation ensures that all voices are heard and considered. Regulatory agencies are responsible for developing, implementing, and enforcing regulations. They may operate at the national, regional, or local level. Agencies ensure that regulations are applied consistently and that compliance is monitored. Their expertise and authority are essential for effective regulation. Judicial review allows courts to examine the legality of regulations. If someone believes a regulation is unlawful or exceeds the authority of the regulator, they can challenge it in court. Judicial review ensures that regulations respect legal limits and protect individual rights. If individuals or organizations are affected by a regulation, they may have the right to appeal or seek redress. Appeals processes provide a way to challenge decisions or request exemptions. Redress mechanisms help resolve disputes and ensure fairness in the application of regulations. Some regulations include sunset clauses, which set an expiration date unless the regulation is renewed. Sunset clauses encourage regular review and prevent outdated regulations from remaining in force. They help keep the regulatory framework current and relevant. Cost-benefit analysis is a key tool in regulation development. Policymakers weigh the expected benefits of a regulation against its costs. This analysis helps ensure that regulations provide net positive value and avoid imposing unnecessary burdens on society. Regulatory sandboxes allow for experimentation with new approaches in a controlled environment. They are often used in sectors like finance or technology to test innovative ideas without full regulatory requirements. Sandboxes help regulators learn what works before making permanent changes. Public awareness campaigns help inform people about new regulations and their responsibilities. These campaigns use media, events, and educational materials to reach a wide audience. Raising awareness supports compliance and helps regulations achieve their intended impact. Measuring the success of regulations involves tracking outcomes and comparing them to objectives. Authorities collect data, analyze trends, and report on progress. Success measurement helps identify what's working and where improvements are needed. Continuous improvement is a hallmark of effective regulation. Authorities regularly review regulations, seek feedback, and make adjustments as needed. This ongoing process ensures that regulations remain relevant, effective, and responsive to changing needs. To summarize, the journey from policy to regulation involves multiple steps: policy creation, approval, consultation, drafting, review, adoption, implementation, enforcement, and ongoing evaluation. Each step is essential for ensuring that regulations are effective, fair, and widely accepted. Understanding this process helps us appreciate the complexity and importance of good regulation. Key takeaways from this video include the importance of stakeholder engagement, transparency, accountability, and continuous improvement in the policy to regulation process. Effective regulations are built on clear principles, robust consultation, and regular review. By understanding these elements, we can better participate in and respond to regulatory changes. In conclusion, transforming policies into regulations is a complex but essential process for effective governance. Each step, from drafting to enforcement, plays a vital role in ensuring that regulations serve the public interest and adapt to changing needs. By understanding how policies become regulations, we can appreciate the careful work that goes into creating rules that shape our society for the better.